Hello fellow O-Gauge modelers, and welcome to my layout, which is called Ilfracombe, based in the southern region in North Devon. It's an end-to-end layout, obviously, because Ilfracombe was a terminus, because it goes up the hill, 1 in 40 gradient, to a Fiddle Yard which I call Morthoe and Willicombe, which was where the next station was. The track layout is squashed up, but pretty much Ilfracombe is modelled as it was in real life, except that I've only got a fraction of the storage sidings that was there in real life, and therefore I cannot hold the stock to do a summer Saturday. So I've chosen a Monday in May, which also allows me to run the Devon Bell. It's based around 1947-1948 era, so a lot of my locos are either in malachite green or in wartime black. The gradient out of the station in real life was between 1 in 36 and 1 in 40, and I've replicated 1 in 40. I thought I'd go easy on the stock, but it's still a hard slog for a loco to haul stock up the gradient. I've learnt a lot on how to do that. If you're distracted by the baseboards behind me with track on them, those baseboards erect on my decking outside the back door. Funny, my wife wondered how I sized up the decking, but she soon realised once the test track was up. And it's a 15 foot by 32 feet test track, and it allows me to do roundy sessions with, certainly with visitors from fellow modelers in the Melbourne area. This layout, by the way, is based in Australia. It's a DCC layout using NCE equipment. I have my remote walkabout controller. I hate calling them cabs. And I also have tethered controllers as well. The layout can run to a timetable. I've studied 1947, 1948 and a few years onwards timetables in the York Railway Museum, and that's why I chose a Monday in May. So let's take a walk around the layout, and we'll start from the back of my garage and go out into the driveway for the Fiddle Yard. So the gradient rises up, the 1 in 40. Because it's squashed up, I dropped the down head shunt, trailing down a gradient, to maximise the distance between the buffer stops and the rail, which was pretty significant in real life. I'll come back to the engine shed shortly, and I'll come back to the turntable as well shortly. So then we go around a 8-foot radius to the outer home signal, and then we go over Cairn Top Bridge and into Slade Tunnel. There's a lot to finish off there, and then into the Fiddle Yard, where the stock at Morthoe is stored. So I'll just pull out across the driveway and show the distant look. So we'll now deal with the Fiddle Yard, the sector plate. There's 4 roads on the sector plate, and it's electrically operated using a switch with numbers 1 to 4, obviously. And this box of tricks down here has 11 relays inside it. The circuit diagram was drawn up for me by my late friend Ian Norman. He was a lift engineer, so he knew all about how to make things with relays. So there's a latch system which stops at each of the 4 roadways, and as it approaches it uses these contacts that you see to slow the voltage supply to the motor up so that it stops carefully. The mechanism to drive it may be hard to see underneath, but it's a automotive window lift mechanism, and it doesn't really matter what sort of mechanism you can use. It's quite controllable as long as you have full feedback. So I'll just operate it to see. There you go. So that's the Fiddle Yard. You might be asking, how does all this store in my garage? Well, it's on wheels, as you can see, and sections on bolt, and then I can wheel it in. No need for heavy lifting, just unbolt the sections and wheel them into the garage. Of course, the cars don't stay in the garage. There is a manual turntable connected to the main board through a cable, through an auto reverse system. And the Fiddle Yard control, which I explained had 11 relays in it, I'm probably going to discard that and go with an Arduino controller and a stepper motor to drive the Fiddle Yard, as I have done recently with the turntable. I'll just explain the signalling. So all my signals are servo controlled with colour changeover for the lamps. I enjoyed building this four dial signal. That also lifts out to reveal the 4 servos. I've got a glass structure here to avoid me leaning over, or anyone else leaning over and destroying the signal. The control of the signals is by GF Controls, as they were one of the few offerings at the time that I was building these signals to offer me bounce, and so that's why I went, and I've had no issues with them. They're very reliable. Of course, there's a choice now on how you do it. So I've got ground signals in most of the places where there were ground signals in real life. So I've just switched the turntable on, and like a printer attached to your computer, it goes to a place where a Hall effect sensor is present, and that's the 0 point, and now it's rotating to come to the first road position, which is the shed road. So at Ilfracombe, the standard practice was for a loco to come up through the engine shed, turn on the turntable and go back down the coal road. So we're just coming up to the shed road for the turntable. And the locking lever has operated. That's all in the Arduino code, and now the turntable is locked in order to receive a loco from the engine shed. So I have a timetable based on the Monday in May, and this is a PowerPoint presentation on a little screen at the back of the layout and tells me how to run the layout through the Monday timetable. It's got the starting stock positions for the beginning of the day, the stock in the Ilfracombe and the stock at Mort Hoe. As far as I can read from the operation of Ilfracombe at that time, only one engine was stabled overnight at Ilfracombe. It's very tempting for road gauge modelers to have locos everywhere, but I don't do that for the timetable. So I can click to the first train of the day, which is the arrival of the goods. Then there's an arrival of the newspaper train, and meanwhile M7 is shunting carriages and goods wagons in a daily duty. And then the overnight engine will back down onto the train and the platforms and take the first train out, which is the 8:10 to Waterloo. This is the laptop underneath the layout, which runs the PowerPoint timetable. Plus, I use it occasionally to update the program for the Arduino controller for the turntable. I have a fast clock, so from the morning goods arrival to the last train of the day, it takes me about 6 hours to run the full timetable for that Monday in May. This clock is currently set to run 3 times real time. I also have a switch on the back to run twice real time. Depends how much under pressure I am with the timetable. And I can also switch it off, so I can stop there, go and have some lunch and come back and carry on. I've just upgraded my control panel. So this is the actual signal diagram from a book, I think. And I sent it to a firm locally who make warning labels for electrical equipment, and on using hard plastic, a white face, and then they machine off the white where they want a black, so it's easy to put lettering on. And I've used NCE mini panels and switch 8s to drive the tortoise point motors and program the mini panels for route control. So there aren't switches on the control panel unless there's a shunting choice. So I've got a shunting choice for the engine roads, and I've got shunting choices for the carriage sidings and shunting choices for the goods sidings. That's the only area where I've got point switches. The orange ones buttons are from Megapoints, which are very nice little switches. They work the feed to the signals, and the LEDs are lit by a Megapoints multi-panel. So this is the underside of the panel. So you can see the 2 NCE mini panels to control the points, and the signals feed to the signals, and you can see here the Megapoints panels and the DCC interface, also from Megapoints, which control the LEDs on the panel. I went for route control because here's an example, platform 2 to up main. I think this is the busiest one where up to 7 points work at one time, so I'll just press it. You can hear the point motors. So now the road is set from platform 2, this is platform 2, to up main, which obviously is the left-hand main line. Previously I had switches for every point, and I found I was making too many errors to set a road. even if you make one area every 5 operations, it's still too many. So I went for route control, which is, once you read the booklet and understand how to do it, it's pretty easy. I didn't have a drawing for the engine shed, so I guessed it from pictures and the sizes of the blocks, which I knew had been cast at Exmouth Junction Concrete Works. And then a book comes out giving about the Exmouth Junction Concrete Works, and it had a scale drawing of the Ilfracombe engine shed. Just my luck, after I finished the model. Anyway, I compared the dimensions, and it's pretty close in terms of accuracy, so I thought I'd leave it alone. The number of bays is shortened, obviously, because the whole layout is squashed up. Each bay, which consists of a window and a pillar, was cast. I made one master and then I cast all the rest. Made building the model a lot quicker. The M7 is a Martin Finney kit, which I built with an ABC gearbox. And it's just brought the morning goods in, reversed around in platform 2, hauled the train out and put it into the goods sidings. This operation wouldn't happen on a summer Saturday. It would normally just go straight into the sidings and be helped in shunting and sort itself out once it was in the sidings. But as it's a Monday, often local goods would arrive in a platform and run around. I've just fitted the Devon Bell headboards onto the smoke deflectors down the front. I made these, I can't remember if I made them from a drawing, but the strips that you put on the smoke deflectors to represent the Devon Bell carrying brackets, these actually work on two of my locos because I've got two bullies that can pull the Devon Bell. This one's clean, and I'll talk about why it's clean in a few minutes. This is a scene where 3 of the 6 loco cleaners have been dropped off on the platform by the Devon Bell loco. Having cleaned it, these 3 cleaners will go back on a local service to Barnstable Shed. The other 3 cleaners are still up on the shed, tidying up, and they will also come down on another engine movement, and they will head back to Barnstable Shed. These 6 cleaners were sent up on an earlier service and will depart on a later service in order to, especially just to clean the Devon Bell loco. How did I find this out? Well, I went to Ilfracombe Town Museum, where there's quite an interesting section on the railway. Well, that's the end of it. Thank you very much for watching. It's all packed away now back in my garage. It took about half an hour to disconnect everything and wheel it back in. Takes about a little longer to put up, but it's quite portable. If you want to see more of my stock running, many of the locos that I have do not run to the timetable at Ilfracombe, then please look at the link below, which will connect you to a video already posted on the Guild website, and hopefully you'll enjoy that as well. Thank you very much.